Vincenzo's Go Crypto Investing this October the 7th, 2025 noontime cryptocurrency update. And you can see we have some sell-offs going on in the market. DGB's giving back along with AMP most of its gain. The Bitcoin's down 2.5%. The Ethereum's down 4%. And we'll start with Ethereum. And you can see it's getting rejected just below its all-time high of 49.30 with its first significant sell-off since you've had your rally that started from the 100-day moving average. And this was something that we've been talking about in all of these coins. And we're starting with Ethereum that we said right here, we were either going to break and get into a new all-time high 52 to 5,400, or this was going to start our sell-off process because we were coming up to major overhead resistance. And if it did that, what you would watch is for an initial drop down to the 50-day moving average. And then if you slip the 50-day moving average, you would drop right back to the megaphone neckline support. And then that would be your towel. If you held that, everything's fine. If you slip that, you would come back down to the 100-day moving average, 100-day moving average, excuse me, and you wouldn't be able to hold it due to you already hit it one time, and you would come down safely to the 200-day moving average, which is sitting right along or maybe just above now the 34.96 major support and resistance box there in green. That actually at the bottom end of that is 3,063. So it's a very critical area for the Ethereum price at the current moment. I would expect XLM. Ooh, these had an even bigger fall. You see that? XLM got up to a major resistance area that you can see that we've hit several times back here in September, hit it again here later in September, hit it again here back, way back in August, a month and a half ago. And you can see now the last 24 hours, we got up just south of that 43 cents, an area that we were talking about while we were trading sideways that you have to come up to and get over top of in order to be short-term bullish. We were not able to do that, and thus we had an immediate 7.5 to 8% fall to the downside. And that was something that we were watching for because we said if it did drop below that, you would come back down to the 50-day moving average, exactly where you're at now, sitting, I think, right on the 50 at 38 cents. If you slip that, which you would most likely do, you would breach the 100-day because you've already sufficiently broke right here and wiped away all the volume here. You would more than likely come back down to the 36 cents. And that's something that we were talking about too, because if you couldn't get back above the 43 cents, the most logical thing that was going to happen if this recent pump could not breach you past the 43 cents and make a new base on a breakdown, if you got below the 100-day moving average and you ran down to the 200-day and this 36 cents like you did here, I don't think it's going to hold it this time. And that's how you would come all the way down to the 31 cents. And just so happens to be the weekly time frame moving average is sitting right about where that 31 or the bottom part of that green support and resistance box is. So this is getting very interesting and very critical as we could be seeing short-term sharp bear action. The same thing as the XRP. After another fake out, we said if it didn't get above this $3.07, you would have a harsh rejection. And we had a harsh rejection and we went down 7.2%. And now what we're going to watch to see is if you can't hold the 100-day moving average, you're going to slip all the way down to this $2.63 and eventually this $2.55 horizontal left to right major support level. Because if you slip that major support level, you're just like the XLM price, the weekly time frame moving average that continues to trickle up every week. Uh, that wasn't locked, so I don't know why it's saying it won't move. Sometimes it does kind of some weird stuff like that. Unlock. You can see the weekly time frame moving average is trickling its way closer and closer and is now sitting at $2.33. So this is a critical short-term time in the price because we got harshly rejected by that 307. We got briefly supported on the wick at the 285. But if you do not hold this 285, you will come straight down like we've been talking about the 200-day and then the 256. And that 256 is the critical pattern support because if you break that, you will come quickly down to the $2.33 weekly time frame moving average. If you want to start getting back bullish, it's the same thing as we've been talking about. Step one again now, you got to get back above the 50. Step two, you have to get on top of this 307 and you must reclaim it as support and trade it to the upside. That is how you get short to medium term bullish again in the XRP price. If not, we have some very, very big bearish action to come. And that's what we're watching. You can see Bitcoin dominance started to rise. The Bitcoin price is at an area now that we're looking at. You can see we said when it got back into here the last 2 to 3 days in the last week we've been watching, if you could get up into here, it made a new all-time high, but it wasn't because it forcefully pumped into this 3.5 year rising channel. It was just because it traded along and sideways on the major underneath support and resistance. Now you're coming back for a first retest of the pattern. This is the critical spot now because if you break down and don't stay in this pattern, you will shoot straight through the two moving averages that are below it. Will have no support there, and you will come straight down to the 100-day moving average, which is at 106,563 and change. And that's a big, big fall from where you're at now, sitting at $121,000. That would be a 12% move to the downside. Not gonna, doesn't say it's got to happen now, but it would happen if you don't hold this. So this is going to be a critical uh, 36 to 72 hours, and then the next 2 to 3 days to see is do you hold this and now you try to pump towards the 156 and really establish yourself back into this channel, or are you going to get heavily rejected and start to confirm a breakdown? It's going to be exciting times and a lot of volatility. I just got to check the time here. Come on, all the time. A lot of volatility is going to take place here. I think in the short to medium term, you can see the DGB, unfortunately, harsh rejection along that 0.00838. That's an area we had to get above. We didn't. Harsh rejection. Now we got to see if it's just a brief rejection, and then we're just going to quickly turn around. If it doesn't, you would look for a swing targeted low of 0.00686 from what you just did. AMP, same thing. Unfortunately, it looks like you're going to bust and break down out of this. And if you do, you could be coming down to the 0.00236. But I believe it's just going to make us wait longer because 2026 will be the year of the AMP and the DGB on the biggest returns percentage wise from start to finish. I believe, mark my words, for 2026. I'm not a financial advisor. It's only my own personal opinion. I have to let you go. My lunchtime is almost over. Peace and love, the Rex Eyebrow, Jay.